pocket crocodile. Hold him in your hand. Keep him warm and moist. He bites. 僕の可愛いワニはいっぱい米食べる。僕の可愛いワニとずっと一緒だよ。Crocodile lifespan isn't very long. Even when he's gone, he loves you.
There's something about you and I don't know why. I can't think straight when I look into your eyes. You know how to play it right, yeah, you took me by surprise. The way you talk, it sounds like it's another long night. Yeah, your mustache tickles my nutsack, baby. You know that's fine with me. You said you wanna cover my face with love, so maybe I'll find out and see. So throw it back, yeah, just like that. You know just how to do it, that ass is fat. Yeah, we can go fast, we can take it slow. Got you calling on my back, I'm your little He spreads my cheeks and he makes me scream. He's my number one daddy, gonna make him cream inside of me. Just keep riding me. When I'm slipping it down, it's my favorite sound. You let out a little more, what a beautiful tone, so softly. Just keep riding me. So let's go talk about it. You look so sexy when your hands are wrapped around it. Flip me over, be my meetup while you pound it. While you pound it. You got away with your words and a big fat cock. And I don't care if it hurts, no, don't you stop. I know I've been a bad boy, tonight you're top. So let's just do what we do, I like the way that you move. I'll be your king and your queen, whatever you want me to be. It doesn't matter to me, just keep on fucking me deep. Yeah, baby, let's make a movie and let's make it juicy. I've been waiting for it long enough, now it's time. He spreads my cheeks and he makes me scream. He's my number one daddy, gonna make him cream inside of me. Just keep riding me. When I'm slipping it down, it's my favorite sound. You let out a little more, what a beautiful tone, so softly. Just keep riding me. Riding me. Just keep riding me. You know how just to fuck! Spreads my cheeks and he makes me scream. He's my number one daddy, gonna make him cream inside of me. Just keep riding me. When I'm slipping it down, it's my favorite sound. You let out a little more, what a beautiful tone, so softly. Just keep riding me.
Invitation 届いたならオペなんてダンジョン望みは何かがのタイム誰が塗るのレースシャイダン引き返せない
야 Oh! Oh boy. Oh jeez. Hi guys. Oh shit, I didn't plug in the ring light yet. Give me a sec here. I gotta do the ring light. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. There we go. Alrighty. Ring light on. Ew, darker than black. Lame. Lame. No one cared about darker than black. Alright. Let me go get shot glasses. Let's do it. We're doing your favorite thing, Adam. We're doing content for once.
Get on my elevator, baby, we're going up. Give me that now and later. I can't get enough. So much to discover. Please don't
Oh my
stop
god.
me now. Every time I touch
This is why you don't redo your fucking entire streaming setup for one stream.
I will go where they all couldn't go. Up above.
Everything's all fucked up.
We can get higher. There's levels to your love. Yeah,
There we go, that's better.
love and I know we can get higher. There's levels to your love, and I keep on climbing up. Oh, yeah. Walking upon the ceiling, dancing upon the wall. You and that drug you're dealing should be against the law. All the sea keep rising, make you stop, drop, and roll. I'm bottling up the lightning, supernatural. Let them go, all the ones trying to get in the door. I'ma go where they all couldn't go. Up above. Yeah, I know we can get higher. There's levels to your love. Yeah, there's levels to your love, and I know we can get higher. There's levels to your love, and I keep on climbing up.
Alright, let's do it.
They can't reach us. Give a high five for Jesus.
Alright. Fuck. I wish my bones didn't pop all the time. It's fine. I'm sure it's fine. Okay. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Silk or polyester? I don't know. I've never actually checked. Okay. So, let's take the 11-month anniversary shot first. We got a brand new bottle of Malort. We'll check now. I can't. I don't want to take off the shirt to check. I got it at a thrift store for $1.25. Okay. We got one of those. We got one of these. You know what I was talking about at work? Well, that's because the shot glasses are modeled after mugs like that, yes. You know what I was talking about at work? That, I don't know if you guys would remember this. This was one of the first like, serious conspiracy streams that I did. Like, not conspiracy, but like, hey, take a look at this weirdo kind of streams I did. Do you guys remember? Pour them both into the glass. Ugh. That sounds absolutely fucking atrocious. I think I would throw up. I would probably throw up. Oh, God. Okay. Fine. But only because it's your 11 month. Do you guys remember... Do you guys remember when I streamed about intergalacticmatch.com? Ugh.
Okay, here we go again. I think I like you just a
It's not going to be the whole stream, but I just want to look at it again.
when I'm with you, it feels so perfect. You build me up and then tear me down. You pull me under until I drown. I swear you're kinda like a drug. I'm craving my fix, I can never get enough. I think I'm losing my mind when you're not around me. Hold up,
Yes, it's the guy with the 5D girlfriend. I was talking to it about it with my coworker today, and it made me really want to buy the book. However, it's $42 now. He raised the price of his book. Inflation is killing me on the conspiracy book buying. I don't know. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. You can get one used for $52. And the rest are fucking $41.95. Insane.
I got way too damn horny. Boy, we turned it right into a slutty love
754 pages.
comes up, now he's gripping my cock. Think I'm about to nut, you know it.
No reviews.
Show you, baby, beat it up just like
Ooh.
I owe you. We can do it slow,
kinda cool.
we can do it fast. I don't really care, I just really want it in my ass right now. So pound it until I'm leaking. There's no safe words
Yo,
in this
they're
bed.
printing
I'm all
fucking...
yours and you're all mine, so give me what's between your thighs. Hey, boy,
Fuck. I kinda want this. Planeswalker Party, Sliver Swarm, Enduring Enchantments, and Eldrazi Unbound. I gotta get Eldrazi Unbound! I gotta! It's fucking Eldrazi, it's colorless commander deck. I have to have it. Yeah, but that's for all four of them. The Eldrazi on its own is probably only gonna be like 760. Alright. I hate you guys so much. Truly the worst. Alright, cheers everybody. Ugh. Oh, that's fucking awful. It was deceptively awful. Ugh.
Hold him in your hands.
No.
Keep him warm and moist.
Ugh.
He bites.
Ugh. Wow. I am never doing that again. The reason it was deceptively worse is because when you first put it in your mouth, you only taste the orange Smirnoff. I'm not buying an old style. I'm not buying old styles. Wow, that is still on my palate. Ugh. Yeah. I don't like old style. Oh, fuck. That was bad. That was really bad. Alright, so. Today, we are doing the non-insane version of what we did during the 24-hour live stream. We're gonna pick a crazy conspiracy documentary, and we're gonna watch it together. They're all on Tubi. There's Above Top Secret, which I don't think we've watched before, but I've definitely heard of it. Shit. We could watch the Bob Lazar movie. Honestly, I don't really want to watch the Bob Lazar one because I already watched it off stream. We've watched Unacknowledged together. I don't want to watch Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind because that's just Stephen Greer shilling CE5. We could do Majestic. I'm interested in this one. This one's just about UFOs. Okay. Wow, that fucking hurt me. Let's see. Mike, welcome. I've seen these. Dumbledore.
We got you.
Hermione Granger. Listen. Hear me out. Neville, I would have been so nice to him when he was young and awkward looking, so that he would love me when he became a fucking 9 out of 10 out of fucking nowhere. What was the name of his oh shit, we have the fucking timer running. Sorry guys, we're not doing another 24-hour live stream. Boop. I would have picked on him, but it would have been sexual bullying. No, that's not true. That's weird to say. Disregard that comment. That was the Malort talking, not me. What is Neville's actor's name? That's sexual harassment. Hi, welcome to the stream. I do sexual harassment. Yes, I sexually harass men. Matthew Lewis. Matthew Lewis. Listen. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Listen. Oh, those pits. Oh my god. I'm simping. Maybe it's just me. No, honey. It's no. It's not just you, honey. Is he gay? Look at his little awkward little half smile. That's a cute boy. What a handsome man's. Ooh, and this is a Matthew Lewis. That's also my type. Listen, there's a Matthew Lewis that's a bear. I'll just date both of them. You see? I get everything. And again, like, I have multiple types, guys. I'm not a one-track man. I am an appreciator of a huge variety of male body shapes, okay? I'm an equal opportunity the fucker of men. A flash of beauty. Bigfoot revealed. Okay, we're starting with this one. Aaron is white, yes. Aaron is white. And we have a little date tomorrow. I'm happy. Not my first white man, Adam. First of all, I just told a story on the 24-hour stream about the Greek dude who stole my laundry money, right? I hooked up with him twice. Well, attempted the second time, I suppose. My first boyfriend, who I never, like, had actual sex with, I chose to assume he was a black Greek. I don't mention this guy a lot on stream, but I was on and off again. I was on and off with this one dude, Trevor, for 2.5, 3 years before I met my first fiance. He and I never, like, had sex. We never did anal. But, he was a white dude. He was a piece of work, though. Real piece of work. Jake is white. Trevor. I just said it. His name was Trevor. So I had Trevor and then Tristan back to back. It was a bit of a thing. It went Trevor, Gustavo, Tristan. But Gustavo was the first dude I actually had sex with. Oh man. I could tell so many stories about what a shitty boyfriend Trevor was. Ergo, I assumed your Jake was Asian. Adam, we've talked about this. I don't date Asians. I am racist. Except for that one guy. I didn't date him, but I totally would have fucked him. What was I gonna say? Filipino? Oh, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to elaborate, but no. In interest of not canceling myself, I will not be elaborating. Tristan? No. Trevor, Gustavo, Tristan. After Tristan was the Greek boy, Gregory. A different black guy named Izzy. A different dude named Sydney. A different Sydney from Sid. That one was a bit of an issue, right? Because, so, Izzy, like the Digimon guy, correct, yes. So this dude posts a Grindr profile. It's like he's like a 6 foot one ripped black guy. But his profile, Adam, listen to me. Listen to me. His Grindr profile says, I want someone to teach me how to play Magic the Gathering. Sid is a Sydney, but he's just Sid. This guy went by SJ. So SJ... So I invite SJ over. Because how can I resist a ripped dude saying, please teach me how to play Magic the Gathering? So SJ and I, we're together for like a minute. We're hooking up like weekly. I sent him the essays on how to play Magic the Gathering better. We're hooking up like once or twice a week for like 3 months, to the point where all of my regular friends are like, so Seamus, are you dating this boy? Like, what's going on? And I was like, no, I'm not dating him, but he is joining our Dungeons and Dragons campaign. So that became an issue, right? Because at a certain point, after like 2.5 months, to where we were like, you know, we were literally just friends with benefits, right? Like, we were seeing each other very casually. Every time we would hang out, we would like play some Magic, do a little bit of gaming, hook up, and then we would go back to my room, have sex, and then go to sleep. That was the routine every time. At a certain point, though, the routine stayed the same, but he stopped having sex with me. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I have a harem, because I had a harem. SJ was just one member of my harem. So I know normally at the 3-4 month mark, dudes are like, okay, so let's speed this along. Here's a ring. I know. So, I figure like, okay, dude's not into me anymore. I start seeing Sid after like a week, after like 2-3 hookups with Sid. He's like, let's be, you know, official. Let's start dating. And then after we'd spent like, I don't know, probably a month together, I was falling for him. So I told him, I was like, hey, you know, I know this is a little bit fast, but I'm really into you. I think I'm in love with you. Like, I said it first, by the way. I said it first. So he and I agreed that we were boyfriends. We started telling people that we were boyfriends. The issue came when he joined our D&D campaign, and SJ was still a player in our D&D campaign. It was a bit of an issue. I got awkward. Yes, awkward, capital awkward. I got about 7 full texts from SJ talking about how I was emotionally manipulating him and leading him on and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, bro, like, I have been fully open and honest with you. You and I never became mutually exclusive. And every time you got together with me for the last, like, I don't know, month and a half at that point, like, you had the opportunity to, like, come back to my room and, you know, do our routine of, like, okay, we're done with our game night, let's hook up. But you didn't, so I just assumed you were no longer interested, so I found someone new, and now I'm in love with them. And he didn't like that, but he was very rational about it. And he said, you know what? I understand. I could have communicated my feelings better. I'm sorry for lashing out. Can we still be friends? And I said to myself, can I date a man named Sydney and still be friends with a man that I used to hook up with who's also named Sydney? He was rational. We could share you. Listen. No. And I said to myself, you know what? I can do that. I can continue to be this guy's friend and not hook up with him and be friends and be dating Sid, and that's fine. And it turns out that wasn't fine. It turns out it wasn't. And so eventually we just kind of dropped him. But here's the fucked up thing. Like, so he moved out of state or got another job, so he had to move further away from us. But he would still try to hang out, like, every now and then. And so, like, one day he hit up the old D&D group chat. And he was like, hey, sharing is caring. Listen. Hey, would you guys want to go camping with me at some point? He was like, you, Sid, Carl, and me, we can all go camping somewhere, da-da-da-da-da. And I want to say he sent this, like, he sent this, like, right as the COVID lockdown started for the first time. And so I showed Sid the text, and I'm like, do you want to go camping with SJ? And Sid was like, no, I don't want to go camping with SJ. Because that would be really awkward for me. But you can go if you want. And I was like, baby, I don't want to go camping with this guy. No, actually, Sid always really wanted to go camping. That's why I even entertained the idea. Like, Sid was always talking about, like, going on a camping trip with my parents. Because when I told him my parents go camping a lot, he was like, I've always wanted to go camping. So I was like, okay, like, here's an opportunity. You keep talking about wanting to go camping. Do you want to go camping with this guy? I understand if you don't, right? Like, it's understandable. So Sid is like, no, I don't want to go. So I told SJ, I'm like, hey, sorry, buddy. Sid doesn't really want to go. Da-da-da-da-da. Carl, meanwhile, our straight Polish roommate, who later turned out to be like a flat earth neo-Nazi, was like, oh no, camping is super fun. Camping is super fun. I do love camping. I don't have the fucking, I don't know. I like staying in my house. So Carl says yes, he wants to go. And I told SJ, I'm like, I'm sorry, Sid doesn't want to go. I don't want to go without him. Or no, Sid said he doesn't want to go. And then he's like, well, you can come without him. Winky face. And I said, no, thank you. And then, this is all in a group chat with Carl. So, Carl asks, where are we going camping? And this motherfucker says, I still remember the name of the camp. Well, we can't go to a regular campground because it's just not safe for a gay black man to go out in the wilderness. There's all kinds of people who could come after us and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, first of all, no one is prowling through the fucking the fucking like the thing. No one is prowling through the wilderness looking for black gay dudes to harass, right? Like it's just not happening. So he tells us that he wants to go to Camp Buckwood, Indiana's premier campground for like-minded men. Disconnect. Reconnect. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, oh, this is the gay sex campground. This is not camping. This is, you go to a place and you get a cabin and you have lots of anonymous gay sex in a cabin with a nightclub. It's not camping. It's not camping. It is glamping at best. You are in a cabin in the woods. You are in one of like 25 cabins in the woods with a bunch of gay dudes. I can't think of anything I would rather do less than be alone in the woods with a bunch of gays. I worked today, Stefan. I worked today. I went to work. Yeah, man. So, this is the place he wanted to take us. Also, all of the food has to be bought there. Out of a fucking food truck. It's just like, bro, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun, but I don't want to be anywhere where someone is wearing one of these. I also don't want to be anywhere where anyone is pup playing in public. Jesus. Also, lots of old men. Also, one of the things that I read on this website is like, oh yeah, bring all your gear. Nudity's very encouraged. Da-da-da-da-da. Like, there's no rules against nudity. Like, yeah, here, they can't show the pictures on the website, but they're like, oh yeah, there's no nudity. There's no rule against nudity. Like, I don't want to look at this. In fact, I'm done looking at this. So that is why I chose not to. No, like gear, yeah, gear is like leather and chaps and jock straps and the harnesses and the collars and the etc., like nudity plus basically. But you can also just choose to walk around fully nude if you like. I'm just not comfortable doing that. I don't know why I would want to do that. So yeah. Not my crowd, not at all. Not at all. So he invites us. Dude, if I had assless leather chaps, I would wear them for a stream. But I would never, like, go to a leather con or go or wear them outside the house, you know? It would not be a, it would not be a thing that I would do. Now, Turkish oil wrestling training camp. I could do that. I could do that because, hear me out. That's just dudes being guys. That's just guys being boys being dudes. There's nothing sexual about oiling up and shoving your hands right down another man's pants. Nothing sexual about it. It's a good old American activity. There's nothing wrong with that. And, you know, if you think there's anything gay about that, that's because you, yourself, have latent, repressed homosexual urges. Not me. My homosexual urges are overt and expressed. So, and I think there's nothing gay about that. Yeah, they're wearing pants. They're wearing pants. There's nothing wrong with a bunch of dudes wearing some pants, getting oiled up and shoving their hands down them pants. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's a sport, damn it. Anyway, so he invites us to Camp Buckwood with him. And at this point, Sid and I are, like, actively mocking him, like, to ourselves in real life, because obviously this was a ploy to get me... Oh, Stefan, you don't have to tell me about Greco-Roman wrestling. I am an erudite scholar of Greco-Roman wrestling. Just you believe me on that. Listen, I have, you know, I know what I want. I know what I want, and I'm open about it. And that is why Sid and I were sitting in our bedroom bullying, without texting back to the group chat, obviously, but just bullying this fucking dude for trying to get me to come with him to a gay sex camp without my boyfriend. Like, obviously this is a fucking excuse to get me away from Sid so you can hook up with me. Like, what the fuck? Anyway. Yeah. So, anyway, we're picking a documentary out of here. I don't want to do Discovering Bigfoot because one of the Bigfoot documentaries called him sexy. So we're doing that one. Hear me out, it's not cheating. Oh, listen, I love a man in touch with his full masculinity. This is a documentary about steroids. Expedition Dogman? We could do a cancer cure one. That could be cool. The Brady Bunch behind closed doors. Oh, who was Travis Walton? We just heard about him on the 24-hour stream. Someone. Oh no, we literally watched this documentary. That's the one where he was at the pier with his friend and the weird tree trunk looking dudes came out and abducted him and they were robots. We're not going to do that one. Alien abduction answers. And then okay, that's good. We got those. Although, one thing I will bully ancient Greeks for, they believed it was okay to be pederasts, and that's not cool. Don't do that. In fact, I support the death penalty for such things. Alright, so Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna load these all up. Alright, so. We're gonna load all these up. I'm gonna pause them. We're gonna roll a die. Okay, we have a couple more that we can look through, though. Unsealed. Alien files. I think these guys will actually copy strike me, though. They're more likely to copy strike me than anything else on here. And if we get 12, we watch them all at once. Again. And we'll go crazy. And we'll all die. And that's what we want, right? We're just trying to get... We're trying to Clockwork Orange ourselves, you know? No, I think the Clockwork Oranging ourselves was a good one-time gimmick. I don't particularly want to do it again. Crime secrets. Okay, this is lame. This is just Tubi TV originals. Alright. The Phenomena. Above Majestic. Above Top Secret. A Flash of Beauty. Bigfoot Revealed. Alien Abduction Answers. I'm going to get rid of this one because we just watched something about him. Cancer Cure Cover-Up. Dogmen. Montauk Chronicles. Holes in the Sky. Illuminati. The New Atlantis. Countdown to Disclosure. I did this really in a poor way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We need to lose a couple of them. Oh, wait, we gotta do it this way. Ancient Secrets, Illuminati. I'll get rid of Expedition Dogman. I can veto that. Alien Abduction. Answers. I kind of like that one. I kind of like the way that one sounds. I like A Flash of Beauty Sasquatch a lot as well. I know Above Top Secret is like a classic of conspiracy lore, but then so is Above Majestic, so it's like, which one do you really watch? Because they're both going to be pretty fucking similar. You know what? We'll cut the Philadelphia Experiment too. And you know what? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, guess what? Reopen, close tab. 12. Boom. All right, boys. The back is 1, the front is 12. Let's roll for it. It fell off the desk. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alien Abduction Answers. That's our first show for the night. It's only an hour and a half, so we're definitely going to have time for at least 2. Very exciting. I hope you guys are ready to alien abducted answer.
I started lying almost 50 years ago about what they did to me. The government knows who they are.
I'm gonna boost the audio.
It's time for both of us to tell the truth.
Ooh, spooky. No. No! Ooh. Guys, nothing fucks me up more than alien abductions. Like, no horror trope fucks me up quite like alien abductions.
There's something out there.
There's enough obvious evidence here that we need to take this seriously.
There are a lot more sightings than have been made public. We're talking about objects that engage in actions that are difficult to explain.
There's footage and records of objects that we don't know exactly what they are.
UAPs are real physical objects and they're not ours.
It is real. The question is, what is it and how does it work?
They're not clouds, they're not birds, these are physical objects.
With no wings, no control surfaces, no engines, and yet somehow they're able to fly.
Pyramid-shaped UFOs and advanced trans-medium vehicles descending into the water while swarming our Navy ships.
They outperform some of the very best aircraft that we have in our inventory.
Doesn't seem to be any of our adversaries or near-peer technology.
Are we really dealing with something that's a paradigm moment for our species?
What was once considered a joke is now seen by a lot of people as a genuine national security issue.
Who's operating these machines? Why are they here? What do they want with us?
I understood it was a UFO. It's rotating and it's moving closer.
And in that moment, in that instance, ships started to pop up in the sky.
The next thing I remember, I was flying into a craft.
The last time that they came to my room, I was in my 20s. I had 3 beings standing there.
And the being was right next to my face, and all I could see was its face.
He saw 2 shadow beings walking through our hallway and going down the stairs.
And I knew I was dealing with lots of different types of beings.
Oh my gosh, this is not a dream.
Who's crazy now? Who's crazy now? You all thought I was crazy. Who's crazy now? Who can explain it?
Oh, I hope this touches on David M. Jacobs. I always bring him up when we talk abductions, but he's the only person I believe does good research on abductions.
Well, this is where it all began. I've been back here for almost 40 years. I'll tell you, if this house could talk.
Would it say that you got abducted by aliens? One in every 50 people may have been abducted by aliens. It's 2%. Yeah, but the Roper poll... I don't know if I believe the numbers coming from the Roper poll. It's really hard to verify alien abductions.
Something is happening. It's undeniable. There are too many people from all around the world saying the same things. Abductions have been recorded since the 1920s, but there's really no way to know for certain how long this has been going on. This subject has been taboo for such a long time and been researched by many, many people behind the scenes. In the 80s,
Linda,
there was a man who was brave
there
enough
she is,
to come out in public and catalog his own experiences. There's no one more prolific in this area than Whitley Strieber. Many people know Whitley Strieber as an author and a speaker. He's so much more than that. He is a true philosopher and thought leader in this field.
You know, I haven't actually read any
there
Whitley
And
Strieber.
what you're seeing may be two entirely different things. The result of this has
shit,
been
there he is.
that we build what amount to kind of folklores, and I don't mean things that are dreamed up. Folklore comes not from imagination and dreams only. It also comes from perceptions that we can't understand. Fairy lore of Northern Europe is a perfect example of this. This lore in the 17th, 18th, and early 19th centuries was very ominous and frightening. And if you went with them, you might not come back. That was the way that world saw this. It had no idea of galaxies, no idea of the actual immensity of just the physical universe, and certainly no...
Counterpoint, what if there aren't any aliens and it's just fairies, huh? What about that?
concept that there could be very real parallel universes that might be capable of interacting with this. Now comes the 1940s. We are aware of outer space. We've thought about aliens, and suddenly they show up. And what do we think now? The fairy folk of the 19th and 18th centuries become the visitors and the aliens of the 20th century.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers. The Air Force interest in this problem has been due to our feeling of an obligation to identify and analyze to the best of our ability anything in the air that may have the possibility of threat or menace to the United States.
The U.S. government has been studying UFOs for a very long time. As scientific advisor to the U.S. Air Force under projects,
there was Project Blue Book, and then that closed down, and then there was a different one. Can never remember the name of the other one, but it was Blue Book. They closed down Blue Book, and then there was another one, and they've kept doing it to this day. Like, there's always been at least one government program.
Applied the same discipline that he used to achieve his astrophysics PhD to the study of this phenomena.
The panel had deliberately moved to debunk the whole subject and not to give it the serious scientific attention.
Project Grudge. Yes, there we go.
Later, he would develop
it was
a
pre-Blue Book
system that has been adopted worldwide to scientifically examine each aspect of these encounters. Close encounters of the first kind involve a visual sighting of a UFO. Close encounters of the second kind leave physical trace evidence of the experience, a burn mark from the craft, material.
Close encounters of the first kind are the closest I would ever want to get.
Left behind after the craft departed, radioactivity, or even an unusual discomfort experienced by an individual in the form of a physiological effect. Close encounters of the third kind center on the sighting of actual entities associated with the UFO. These entities usually seem ignorant of the human beings watching their activities. On those occasions where the UFO occupants do take notice of their human observers, that leads us to consider close encounters of the fourth kind, which contain any interaction between humans and entities associated with the UFO sighting. These include actual abductions of human beings. Just like most people, I had no idea that this subject was being taken so seriously by some of the most powerful people in the world.
Lawmakers from both political parties say it is time to determine whether the objects pose a threat to the U.S.
There's stuff flying in our airspace. We don't know what it is. We need to find out. That's my position on it.
It was only after I finally realized and admitted to everyone that I, in fact, had a close encounter of the fourth kind that I started to study the subject and was overwhelmed by the amount of people who had had a similar experience to me.
Oh, thousands, tens of
Incredible as it
thousands.
seems, these abductions of people have been recorded throughout history and are documented as far back as the Old Testament. Most folks are familiar with the fiery chariots of the Bible, but as far as I could tell, the modern focus on alien abduction started in the late 1950s.
Invaders from Mars, capturing humans at will for their own sinister purposes.
There have been a certain percentage of this volume of reports that have been made by credible observers of relatively incredible things.
For example, October 1957, a 23-year-old Brazilian farmer named Antonio Vilas Boas was plowing his fields at night when he noticed a red star growing rapidly in the night sky. The star approached him, taking the form of a spacecraft. His escape was prevented by 3 extraterrestrials who pulled him into that spacecraft. In September 1961, one of the most famous alien abductions occurred in Lancaster, New Hampshire. At about 10:30 that night, Betty and Barney Hill observed a bright light in the sky while driving home from vacation.
They took me and carried me up this ramp. God, I was scared.
In October 1973, 2 fishermen, Charlie Hickson and Calvin Parker, reported to local law enforcement of being abducted by
That's the guys.
rodent-like aliens while night
We
fishing on the
we watched their documentary.
It landed behind us, and we turned around, stood up, turned around and looked, and must have been the door that opened where all the bright lights come out of. I seen 3 bulky-looking creatures coming toward us. So 2 of them got a hold of Charlie, 1 of them got a hold of myself, and the old big ugly creature that brought me in, he took me and laid me on an examination table.
January 1976, 3 women driving home one evening encountered a craft that seemed to be following their car in Stanford, Kentucky.
The Golden Girls.
They tried in vain to get away from the craft, but it centered in on them and took control of their vehicle.
Low step on the gas, let's get out of here. And I looked down, I said, "Man, you're going 85 miles an hour." She just picked her feet up and said, "Mom, I'm not touching it, not touching it."
The women escaped the car, but they all recount that they were abducted and taken up into the craft.
Scariest, terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life.
I wonder if this is going to touch on my lab encounters. My lab encounters are something that started happening in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, where there were military personnel involved in the abductions at this point. Like, the abductions were being supervised by extraterrestrials, but being conducted by military personnel.
Terry Lovelace was on a camping trip with a friend in Devil's Den State Park when both of them looked up and noticed some unusual bright lights in the sky. The lights formed into a craft and hovered 30 feet over them. They were taken too.
I don't think these things really intended to hurt us. They took us inside of this craft, incredibly brightly lit. And I think that's why I came out of this with a severe sunburn. It had burns everywhere. Afterward, we calculated that we had been
That's
out
a common
probably
trope
about
of
4
abductions
hours.
as well.
There are a lot of crazy things out there.
This list is almost endless. It goes on and on. It gave me some comfort to know that I was not alone. Other people, lots
All right, I
of
gotta
them,
pee.
from all walks of life, have experienced being helplessly removed from their homes, from their cars, and everything else that they considered reality. But it also pointed out that I was no one special. Funny, but that was the thing that calmed me most of all. This entire film is an attempt to have the audience see the phenomena through my eyes as I grapple with the truth, understand what it might mean, and then try to live with it. I wanted to ask the questions that people are afraid to ask and get meaningful answers that would unify experiencers and folks that had no idea this was going on, so that we can all face what is speeding toward us as one people, together. I felt alone. I was looking for some encouragement, some solace. I was amazed to find out how many hundreds of thousands of people have claimed contact. And I'm not talking about shiny lights in the sky. I'm talking about an entity right beside you, because that's a different thing. I found out that there were people all around the country that would get together and share their experiences. When I got to Big Arb, I was blown away by how beautiful it was, but more so how beautiful those people were and how giving and honest they were. Each one of them had had a different type of experience. They were all otherworldly. They were strange. They were different. They were different than mine. I kind of thought that everything would be the same, but the truth is they came in every different shape and size.
I'm Kimberly Marie, and I am a lifelong experiencer. I'm an intuitive empath. I'm a yogi.
Oh, God. She's an empath, guys. Oh my God, guys. I'm an empath. Did you know? I'm an empath. I am an empath.
The emotions, they're everywhere.
It's her.
I feel you, I feel everyone, but no one feels me. I tell everyone that I'm just fine, but there's a pain in my heart chakra that's not mine. I've been blessed, I've been cursed, oh can't you see? I've got a bad case of crippling empathy. I sense your vibe was off because now mine is too. I know you better than yourself, so let me diagnose you. You're a sociopath, and I can tell that you're stressed. You think you're mad at me, but you're probably just depressed. I empathize when I see someone downcast because I have been too in my traumatic past. I actually had a blast, not like you care. Being an empath, so many burdens to bear. I see narcissists whenever I close my eyes. This world is a cruel place when you've been born this wise. I'm an empath. I'm an empath. You just won't get it. I'm an empath. I'm an empath. I'm an empath. You say you can relate to my pain, but I know that you can't because we're not the same. I've been blessed, I've been cursed, oh can't you see? I've got a bad case of crippling empathy. I'm an empath.
I'm an empath. Oh boy. I wonder what this lady's been up to. Oh Lord, there's a whole An empath stole my boyfriend. Oh no. Okay.
And I'm a mother. I have 2 daughters, and I'm a spiritual seeker. The earliest experience that I remember, I was in grade school. I had this feeling that I was being watched. I would get up in the middle of the night and I would look out at the woods, and I had a very acute awareness that there was something in those woods that was watching me. I also
She used
had
her empathy.
experiences having beings in my room. There would be one being and it would be just sitting there quietly watching me. I would feel impressions on my bed as if somebody was coming to sit on the end of my bed or next to me. I felt the presence of somebody sitting in my car or walking behind me. I could feel their breath. I was having experiences that were unexplainable. They don't just come to everyone.
My name is Artur Domovic. I'm a recording artist. I'm a sculptor who loves to integrate the knowledge of the ages, the knowledge of Atlantis into his artwork.
Okay. Listen. Conspiracy people, please. I am begging you. Pick one at a time. Pick one at a time. One at a time. You can't tell me that you have all these normal people having abduction experiences and then hit me back to back with the psychic empath, spiritual seeker, and the Atlantean sculptor. You have to pick one. Take fucking a random person who is not an Atlantean sculptor and replace this guy with them. Because now you're asking me to also be super into Atlantean sculpture, which honestly, kind of a vibe. But it does not further the goal of your documentary. Please pick
I'm
one.
an experiencer, a family man, and I channel a little bit from time to time.
Oh, and he channels a little bit from time to time. So now, you know, channeling. Channeling is in there. We love channelers. There he is. He's channeling. It's Daniel Scranton channeling the Arcturians. Obviously, he would be an abductee.
English potion in German. When my grandfather passed, my dad was in his bed, and at that night, he just woke up and saw him standing at the edge of the bed.
And now we've got ghosts.
Wanted to wake up my mom, but he couldn't move. He couldn't say a word. He was frozen. And my grandpa just looked at him and...
This is... I'm going to call it here. I'm calling it right now. This is not made by UFO abduction experiencers. This is controlled opposition to make UFO abduction experiencers look fucking batshit crazy. No person trying to get people to believe their stories of things that happened to them in real life would include the psychic empath and the Atlantean sculptor who channels and also deals with ghosts. They wouldn't do it. You're asking too many steps outside of the baseline worldview of your audience at that point. This is not real. This is not a real documentary. The people that made this documentary have made it as obvious bait. We're going to finish it, but I'm just saying that this is not a real documentary.
He said bye, in a sense, right? My grandpa is my best friend. And we had this very special bond, strong relationship. And I was like thinking, I want to see him. You know, I'm ready. I want to see you. That night, I walked down this hallway. And all of a sudden, as I turned to the right, this big light turns on in the living room. And this being of light steps into the room and approaches me. And gets closer and closer. And I was like, I am ready.
Oh my
I'm
god,
ready.
this is gonna be an
And when that was
abductions
happening,
are
I fell on my
actually
ass
good.
And crawled backwards. Because of the fear, the great fear that is growing in me, at that time I shut off.
I hate
and
this.
That's how the strangeness began.
I decided to call these entities that I was engaging with visitors because I thought that the word aliens was a step too far. Are they entities as they appear, or is it some kind of a phenomenon that projects itself into us? Has it been here forever? Maybe from the beginning of time even? One thing they certainly are visitors in the lives of those who encounter them.
I'm Alana, and I'm just an average person, but I've come to realize that
I'm just an average person. You know, I'm actually a Pleiadian starseed 7th level channeler who can shoot energy beams. I also am the only person to manifest my quantum destiny in this life cycle. But I'm just an average person. I swear to God, she's gonna say some crazy shit about how she's like the last member of a forgotten arcane bloodline.
I was living on my grandparents' farm. I was just a little girl when I had my first experience. I was in a completely black space, and I was standing beside what you would call a gray alien. It's about my size, gray, large almond-shaped eyes. I'm a bit alarmed because it's nothing I've ever seen before. Suddenly, I realized I'm laying back in my bed, motionless, and I'm looking up, and the being is just looking at me. And
I hate that.
I'm lying there, the being's face is changing into the photo of the white cat on my wall. It was nothing I'd ever seen before. I'd never seen a being like that.
I'm Melissa
I hate
Kane.
that.
I am a doting
I hate
wife,
that a lot.
mother of 3 and 3 fur babies as well. And I'm a business owner. Unlike my
Are you also an Atlantean spirit channeler? Perhaps you're a crystal high-heeled twin flame matchmaker.
friends and other people and books that I've read and movies that I've seen about people who have contact, they see beings. They see giant craft. I never had any of that. At a very young age,
Okay.
I would see in the middle of the night are scenes flying by me, like movies, really fast. I could never slow them down. I could never see what was happening. I couldn't stop them to see what I was supposed to be looking at. And it was terrifying because I couldn't slow it down.
Okay.
After the scenes would be flying by me, I would see a gray screen, and there would be a thin line going through the middle of it, kind of like a heartbeat type line. And when that cord was straight, I was safe. But when that cord kind of crunched together and would wave up and down, that's when I felt like I was losing my breath and I was gonna die. These kind of faded away when I was kind of reaching middle school.
That's a very unique
but it did for many, many years
experience.
make me afraid to go to sleep at night.
Screen memories in the contact experience have two purposes. One is
God, Whitley Strieber is the fucking dude that, like, so much conspiracy abduction lore comes from him. So much of it. Like, I think he even pioneered the concept of screen memories. Like, this man is a titan of alien abduction research, and I have no idea how they got him on this
to
documentary.
shield the individual from a memory that
They
they
probably
can't
paid him.
bear. Two is it's a test.
They probably paid him, and they probably didn't tell him what the final movie was going to look
Are you
like.
going to break through the screen memory? Can you bear it after all? So the screen memory has
I hate that
purposes.
mask.
It is to let you off the hook if your soul
It's
does not want to
inaccurate.
engage in contact.
Use a CGI.
And it
You
is
had
there to be
CGI for
broken
like the whole
down
rest of the
if
movie.
you do want to make that step.
I'm Stacy McArdle, and I'm from Illinois, and I'm an experiencer.
Okay.
And a seeker, and I'm just full of wonderment. From a very young age, I just had a knowing that I came from another place. I had been
God, she's a
telepathically
fucking
communicating
star
with beings
seed.
from other planets ever since I could remember. I had memories of being in a room getting ready to be born before I came to this planet, before I
Interesting.
was in my mom's stomach. I was in this nondescript room with everything from human spirits to elementals to ETs. We were called to this gentleman that was manning a door. And we all lined up, and he opened the door, and all the sunlight flooded in, and we were on top of a mountain. There were 2 rivers with a strip of land in between.
Listen, I think pre-life memories are super cool and interesting, but your documentary trying to convince people that alien abductions are real is not the place to also try to convince people that pre-life memories are real. Can we agree on that? Like, is that a hot take? Probably not.
Between jumping into that river meant you were going to be born soon. I was immersed in the water, and it was crystal clear, and there were colored fish, and all the plant life was very vibrantly colored, and all of a sudden, this human-sized fish shows up next to me, and he's telepathically communicating with me. He was telling me what to expect and what was going to happen. I knew I was going to go to another planet. I knew who my mother was going to be. And then all of a sudden, I was born. Over the years, more puzzle pieces from that memory come together and solidify it. So I always knew that I came from another planet.
I'm Jan Yonder. I'm a designer by trade, and I'm also an experiencer.
Okay.
My first experience that I remember, I was 7 years old, and we were on a flight.
You look
to
exactly like you did as a 7-year-old, I just want to say.
Philippines.
You look like a stretched out 7-year-old.
When my gaze shifted up like to the horizon, boom, out of thin air is a classic UFO, like a saucer. It was as if the whole thing was made out of metal that was highly reflective. I could tell that it had a slight rotation. Shortly thereafter, it just zipped. It just instantaneous acceleration, but just so fast. It lit a fire in me that continued through elementary school. Most people hadn't had a UFO experience, and so I was kind of alone in that. I believed it, and I knew it was true, but my dad showed me the Condon report, and when they concluded that there was nothing to it, I knew with everything in me that that report was wrong. Right around when I had the UFO experience, I had gone to bed. At some point, I woke up in the middle of the night, and when I looked at the corner, my room was illuminated. I tilt out of bed, and there he is, the popcorn man. And he is on a bicycle. There's this giant popcorn. It's like 2 big popcorn containers hanging off the front wheel. And everything is covered in this thin, vertical yellow and red stripes. He had a straw hat, and on it was a ribbon. He had a tie, a vest, 3-piece suit. And his skin was white like a clown. Curly black hair. He had weird blue eyes. The hole where your eyeball would be was this glowing baby blue light. He was very, very skinny. I guessed he was like 7
To me, it sounds like a half fucked up screen memory.
Completely stunned. I freeze, and I'm like, this, what? No. And eventually, his head started to turn. He started to turn. I knew he was coming in my direction. The last thing I remember of the experience is when he made eye contact with me. And then it was gone. It was game over. And I don't even know what happened. That was the end.
Have you not bothered to get hypnotically regressed for that? Like, you can find out what happened. You can get through that screen memory. And the other thing is, like, the eye contact is such a trope of abduction reports because aliens, the Greys specifically, use eye contact as the means of connecting for their ability to implant you with screen memories.
The memory.
And to paralyze you.
In order to think clearly about what we are seeing, the place we have to go is to the brain itself. It organizes these perceptions into forms that the mind can then evaluate.
I
But
disagree.
If you have no way at all from your past of relating it to anything, you're going to build it out of your imagination. And even
I completely
though
disagree.
it's there, what is actually there and what you're seeing may be two entirely different things.
I completely disagree. Whitley, that is a fucking cop-out. Listen. Listen, okay? There's a common argument among UFO researchers that the reason people misremember abduction reports and the reason that people report all kinds of wild shit when they're having abductions is because the brain can't look at an alien and physically process it. Like, your eyes take in the photons of the thing, but your brain says, no, this isn't something I recognize, so I'm going to reconstitute it as something I do recognize and put together a brand new experience for you out of reference points that we previously have. That's absolutely fucking idiotic. That is the stupidest fucking thing I have ever heard, actually. Because oh wow, I think Joe's finally home. Because you as a human being are constantly taking in new shit all the time. All the time. Almost every day. You are going to go out and you are going to see something you have never seen before. And your brain doesn't just turn it into something you've already seen. Just because it's an alien doesn't mean that your brain is going to be unable to process what it's seeing. Your brain's job is to process photons. And sure, sometimes it likes to do things like optical illusions, or sometimes it likes to do things like make colors different, you know, but it won't take an entire ass fucking living gray big-headed being and turn it into a clown. The thing that's doing that is the alien's ability to replace our memory, or at least mask our memory, with a screen memory, which is a false implanted memory of the events as they happened, designed to conceal their presence. Those can be gotten through via hypnotic regression. This entire segment about how, like, oh, well, it's just so out there that we can't process it. That's fucking dumb. That's fucking dumb. That is not grounded in reality in any way, shape, or form. And it is one of my least favorite arguments in the UFO abduction phenomena.
Tell.
My name is Ruth, and I'm from Wisconsin, West Central to be more specific. Live in a rural area.
Let me see if Joe's home.
My first experience, I remember seeing stars, beautiful stars in the ceiling. The stars made me feel full of wonder, I guess. I started to realize that it wasn't what it was appearing to be, that I started to become more afraid. I remember floating up above my bed, up above the house. I was kind of flying, and I knew that I was going someplace. I couldn't see the craft. I believe it must have been cloaked, but I knew it was above me, and I knew I was going into it. I must have gotten some communication because I knew what I was
I hate those
supposed to
masks.
do. I mean, when I went from the waiting room to the exam table, I knew I was supposed to do this. Either I thought it or I actually said the words, Ruth, this is not a dream, this is real. Then I was back in my bed, and it was all done.
Now see, in most cases like this, people will talk about having missing time, where they go to bed at 1 a.m. or they're driving down the highway at 1 a.m. and the next time that they're conscious, it's 4 or 5 in the morning, you know, and they will hypnotically regress with a therapist, with a hypnotherapist, what happened to them during these times, and that is when they find out that they have been abducted. And it seems like none of the people in this documentary have gone through the very basic, like, entry-level step of getting a hypnotic regression. And that's another reason that I really just don't believe that this documentary was made in good faith. I really feel like this documentary was made to have a puzzle piece or a card to hold up and say the abduction phenomena is fake and dumb. Because honestly, I fully believe in the alien abduction phenomena. More than 82 species. I think we can pare that down to like 10.
I'm always amazed when someone says that they have all of the answers about who the ET visitors are and the nature of their agendas. I wonder, how can that possibly be?
Well,
take for example,
the interspecies, the extraterrestrial almanac, written by that dude who says that he was a Pleiadian alien named Thyron in a previous life. Obviously, he would have all the answers. He was working directly under Ashtar, commander of the local fleet for our quadrant of the galaxy. Why wouldn't he know everything?
Earthling's quest.
He was Thyron.
Mars. Just suppose the crew
I
was
am
made up
Thyron.
of someone from Africa, China, Germany, and Scandinavia. If there were Martians and they came out to greet these visitors, could they identify the true extraterrestrial? Because of these visitors' genetics and evolution, they all look drastically different. In addition to that, they might all have different agendas. Scientific advancement, military conquest, industrial development, or peaceful exploration. And all of that in one spaceship from one planet. If we accept that life is prolific in the universe and that we're being visited, there is no way to know everything about every one of them. They all cannot be evil.
Are you arguing against alien racism right now? Oh my god, he's arguing against me being racist towards aliens. Oh my god. Yes, I'm a xenophobe.
Child-eating monsters. And by the same token, they cannot
Jesus
all
Christ.
be ultra-spiritual, benevolent beings. I mean, hell, look at us. We've got a lot of work to do on our altruism, and we're traveling to other planets. To the Martians in our little fable, we're the aliens.
In October of 1985, things began to change in
Is
our
that
life.
Whitley Strieber?
There was an unusual event
Or the narrator?
that took place at the little cabin in upstate New York. All of a sudden, in the middle of the night, the
No,
whole
it's Whitley,
place
okay.
lit up like daylight. And I noticed it. There was a
I think
great
Close
bang.
Encounters of the Third Kind was
Opened
written.
my eyes immediately because of the cries.
Was
of my
written
son
based on his
downstairs.
lived experience.
The light was pouring in the windows, but by the time I'd gotten downstairs, the light was gone. But I got a shotgun and I got a pistol. I got a alarm system. I could literally not sleep a night in that house without that alarm system. And I found myself patrolling the area with the shotgun. I became aware of a presence near me, and that was the beginning of a real descent almost into madness. The fear that's connected with this is the same fear that a wild animal feels when it's captured. We will attack if cornered, we will run if we can, and when it does happen to us and it overwhelms us and devastates our egos and leaves us in a situation of helplessness in the hands of the unknown, we will, as often as not, simply bury that memory.
It's taken me a long time to be able to talk about this because it's been so bizarre and strange and unbelievable. And also because I was told not to. Some really big-hearted friends who knew about this and knew that something just wasn't right. And through many discussions, I finally was able to come to terms with it and admit it in public. And that was really hard. I was 7 years old, and I was in my bedroom, and it was in the middle of the night, and I awoke to hear this drone. So I rolled out of bed, and I decided I would go to the bathroom. I walk into the bathroom, and I shut the door, and I turn on the water. I was just looking at the water, and I stood there for a long time. Then I turned off the water, and I moved to my right, and I opened up the bathroom door. And when I did, I was face to face with, to what my mind said, was Ultraman. Ultraman was this character in Japanese television, and he was a
Yeah, I know
silver guy with
Ultraman.
huge eyes. To my 7-year-old mind, I was looking at that character. But we got very, very close. So I was eye to eye with him. He was no bigger than I was. And as he drew closer to me, I could feel myself being pulled. And I got afraid. I was terrified. And just then there was this huge flash of light. And there was this speeding kaleidoscope of lights, and I felt cold, but I didn't know where I was and what was going on. It felt like I was traveling, but I was unsure. But then I was standing again in that small hallway with this entity, but now this entity's back was in the bathroom, and my back was facing the hardwood stairs that were behind me. I can see him raise his right hand. There is a brilliant flash of light, and I felt the impact on my shoulder, and I fell. And I landed at the bottom of these stairs, and I heard my father scream, "What the hell is that?" And my mother came out, and they came to see their son sprawled. And I am saying, Ultraman is in my room. He's upstairs. I'm screaming. And my father looks at me, he's upset, and he bounds up the stairs. He went room to room and, opened doors, and he came to the top of the stairs. He looked down, and I'm crying, and he looked disappointed, maybe even a little disgusted. My father kind of gives my mother a look like, don't make a baby out of this kid. Walked me upstairs, and they did what parents do, you look under the bed, see, there's nothing there. My mom gives me a kiss on my forehead, tells me everything is going to be okay. A day later, my mom is telling me that it's time for a bath. So she took my t-shirt off and she said, honey, what's this? Kind of like looking around to make sure my dad wasn't around. Well, I told you, Mom, that, Ultraman was in my bedroom. A couple of days later, my father was taking me to the doctor. And as we're pulling in, he said to me, "Hey, listen, I don't want to hear any of this Ultraman bullshit. You keep that to yourself." The doctor gave me an exam, asked me about my shoulder. Man, I saw my father. He was glaring at me. So I said, I don't know. I started playing. And as I was walking out in the hall, I still remember him talking to my father in hushed tones, saying something about it. Some sort of a scar brought on by intense heat. So I never thought about it again. And my father said to me, just keep that to yourself. Don't say anything. I don't want you scaring your sisters. That's the way it started.
Alright, his dad is a wood, though. Unironic dilf.
I was angry. And I was afraid. And so I lied. And I lied so many times, I lied to myself. I've come to terms with the event. If you look at it, it's very distinct, and there is a shape to it.
It's fairly distinct. I would argue, yeah, it does look like a burn.
I say is real and happened. And no one can take that away from me.
Marks on the body go back a long time. In the Middle Ages, if you were found to have an unusual mark on your body,
it was
that
a
might
witch's
be considered
teat.
a witch's mark, and you might end up being burned up. Many
Well, that's because
contact
that's where
witnesses
witches
have
would feed their
marks on
familiars
bodies.
from.
I have one on my body, in fact. We're in contact with something that wants them there. But what are they? What are they there for? What are they in our lives?
I don't have any scars on my body that I can't remember how I got them, so... I do have a couple weird scars, though. I almost cut my thumb off once. So you can see I have, like, a weird thumb scar. I have a birthmark that looks like the continent of Australia in miniature on the back of one of my the back of one of my calves. And I have a scar on the back of my hand where a classmate stabbed me with a pencil, and the pencil lead, the graphite, got dislodged in my hand in elementary school. So those are pretty cool.
Has a specific meaning to whoever made it, and probably a meaning that is communicated to others that tells them something about who you are and who you are working with or belong to. Even it could be that these other entities that so many of us regard as aliens are actually members of our families. One of the things that they mean that's very important is it's a message that we are not only here around you, we are in you too. This is not communication, it's communion.
Yeah, okay, Whitley Strieber, I know you had to drop the book title reference. It's your whole thing. 84% of experiencers said they would not break off contact. What's the incidence rate for Stockholm Syndrome and kidnapping victims? Just a question, unrelated question. What is the incidence rate for Stockholm Syndrome? Because I bet it's pretty fucking close to 84%.
I was 7 years old. What in God's name did they want with me in particular?
Your genetics.
I think they go to the children first, because the children are too innocent not to be open to the possibility. Because they have to start somewhere
God damn it, I have hiccups
before
now.
the person is closed to the unknown.
You're probably not going to like this section because it has a lot to do with kids. And nobody likes when their children are subjected to things that parents haven't signed off on, let alone understand. When someone interferes with our children, it scares us. They're the future. They're our DNA. They're ours. Those facts have not stopped this phenomenon from interacting with kids. A lot of people are aware of the 1994 incident in Zimbabwe when grade school through middle school children saw a craft land just beyond their playground. They all rushed out there, saw a being, and received telepathic messages. You may be surprised to discover that this is not an isolated incident. 1989. Ronis, Soviet Union. 1978. Glasgow, Scotland. 1977. Wales, UK. 1977. Aberdeen, Scotland. It's the same basic scenario over and over again. Young children at recess.
Interesting.
Walking to or from school, a bright light, a silver disc, images, a being. 1967, Isle of Wight, UK. 1967, Crestview, Florida. 1966, Melbourne, Australia. 1952, Glasgow, Scotland. A different school this time. And the conclusive proof that our ET visitors believe that real men wear kilts. The earliest record of a school sighting was 1948, Greenock, Scotland. The places, names, and times of day change, but
I'm Scottish enough that I should get a kilt.
Same. The puzzling thing is that the messages conveyed are given to children that would have absolutely no frame of reference to receive them. The Earth is precious. You're hurting your planet. Cherish your home. People are precious. You're hurting each other. Cherish one another. We are all one. As you realize from the dates of these events, climate change wasn't really on the tip of everyone's tongue at the time. It's as if ET were seeding the children to be aware of our universal connectiveness. We are where we live and what we consume, and they were preparing them to engage this problem when they reached adulthood.
Is it still happening? If it is, it remains very secret. This planet of ours is changing now.
What's up, AK5?
And not in
We're
ways
watching
that are going to be conducive
Alien
to the
Abduction
continued safety
Answers.
of anything.
Which, to be real, I'm fairly certain is controlled opposition for anti-alien abduction people. This does not read as a documentary made in good faith to me.
On it, including us. And it may be that the experience is changing with the planet. And if that's the case, there might not be any reason anymore to educate children.
No, the problem is it's too schizo, right? So it tells you, like, here we have 5 ordinary people who have all been abducted by aliens. Listen to their stories. The first one is an empath and a psychic medium. The second one is a Atlantean sculptor and crystal channeler or some bullshit. Like, and they're like, each one of them requires that I believe like 4 or 5 layers worth of conspiracy shit deep. And then the narrator's like, and then there's me, an ordinary UFO experiencer, and it's like, oh, okay, you're the normal one. So I just, it strikes me as the kind of thing that would be made to tar all UFO abductee experiencers with like the, yeah, you're totally crazy brush, you know what I mean? So,
In the way they were being educated.
It's too
back in the
schizo.
50s and 60s and probably the 70s.
It's too schizo, but not in the way I appreciate.
What happened to me as a 7-year-old boy. I really started to analyze the details. I didn't want to miss anything. There was a part of this memory that was totally blank for me, and that bothered me. There was this huge flash of light, and then I remember coming back, and
They also use like really antiquated, outdated theories of how the human brain works. Like every time you look at something that you don't recognize, your brain just turns it into something else because you just can't comprehend aliens in your bedroom. It's a cop-out.
out of the light, and I was standing opposite. I didn't know what happened. And that piece, that missing piece, it gnawed at me. It was like, it was this itch in the back of my mind, like what happened?
Yeah, you have missing time, bro.
And
you
I
need
had
to
know.
get a hypnotic regression.
I just had to know. And I found in that group of people direction, and they directed me to a woman named Deb Shakti. She had over 40
never heard of
years
her.
experience as a quantum hypnotherapist.
Quantum hypnotherapist. Not just a hypnotherapist. It's
And
quantum.
her practice was globally renowned. Deb's entire approach was positive, and she considered it her life's purpose to help others awaken, heal, and grow. Part of her practice was being a lifelong.
This is the lady at the start who was like, yeah, I'm an abductee and I'm an empath. And I'm a crystal medium. And my daughters. And da-da-da-da-da. This is her. No wonder she's in this fucking documentary. I fucking hate this, bro. I
Meditation
hate
and
this.
martial arts and fitness teacher, as well as a respected open channel of a highly advanced ET group known as the Teachers.
Trying to convince me alien abductions are real? Okay, sure. Also, you've got random people on the Earth channeling the Teachers, who are also aliens. Doesn't make sense? Don't worry about it. It doesn't fucking have to. Nothing needs to make
Frankly,
sense. It's fucking
I didn't
retarded.
know what to make of that last part, but who was I to talk? At 7 years old, I had been visited by a small silver man that looked like he stepped out of a sci-fi TV show. What I can tell you is that when I first spoke to her, there was just something about her, a genuine kindness that I resonated with. And
I hate how
assurance.
terrible conspiracy people are at pointing out and tearing apart grifters.
That she could help me not only reclaim my memories, but that with her guidance, I could also find peace with the events of that night.
Oh, gotta have your fluorite crystals. And your quartz. And your little bit of chalcopyrite. And your quartz Merkaba.
I'm Deb Shakti.
Yeah, I know all about your shit.
Therapist for many decades. I specialized a type of hypnotherapy that I call quantum hypnotherapy about 40 years ago. I do channeling because I'm able to access the universal stream of consciousness.
Now you need to believe in that too in order to believe alien abductions are real. I am literally fucking what's his fucking name from Community. Oh god, the guy with the mustache. I can't remember his name. Holy shit. But he's like in the Home Depot and someone comes up to him and is like, "Hey, do you need any help with your project?" And he's just like, "I know more than you." That's me. That's me.
Interdimensional
This entire topic. I know more than you. I know you're grifting, ma'am.
California.
Of course you were. Of course you were born in California.
Really cool little house. My brother and I were literally called out into the forest. We thought there was a forest fire in the middle of the night and saw a huge craft.
You thought there was a forest fire, so you ran into the forest. Low IQ.
I know that we were put in that craft and journeyed, but for me, all I remember were the lights.
You're a quantum hypnotist. Haven't you thought to get a hypnotic regression and see what happens to you? Like, I don't want to keep harping the same point, but hypnotic regression can solve all these problems for, like, all these people. Oh, my beer hiccups.
The next day, going out in
No, my beer
secret, 'cause we
hiccups.
weren't supposed to have left the house at night. Going back out in the forest, in the place where we saw it, there was a burnt circle on the ground, and it was very hot there.
So the close encounter of the second kind. Possibly third.
I've been a yogi most of my life and a yoga teacher. I have all the clairs, clairsentience and all that, all the psychic gifts, which is...
I'm sorry. You just quantified, like, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clair everything as all the clairs. You just have all the clairs.
Very helpful in counseling people from a global perspective. It used to be people coming with simple human problems. How do I lose weight? How do I stop smoking? When do I find my true love? In the last couple of years, a lot of it has surrounded the ET or paranormal, if you want to use that term, interdimensional contact aspect. People who know they've had an experience, but they can't put it into the context of their own understanding. They want more information, or they might even want more, and they don't know how to do that.
I'm really upset.
Over the
I'm
last
really
decade
upset,
or so,
actually,
and
about
certainly
this
in the last
woman.
few years, to who am I? What am I here for? Can you help me figure this all out?
I like how her necklace doesn't fit over her turtleneck, so she pops it up over her turtleneck. Okay, I gotta go pee. Again. I fucking hate this movie.
So I often wonder, why me? Why am I having these experiences? Why aren't people believing me? I'm perfectly sound. It's just a natural thing that a lot of people don't accept.
My family's telling me I'm crazy. I'm wondering, maybe I am crazy. Because, if everybody tells you you're crazy, it's you against the world. And it's a frustrating place to be.
I did not know why they chose me. I do know once I realized that this was a real thing, that I wish that they hadn't.
Why me? Why me, right? What is the mission, right? Every one of us, you are the mission. You are that miracle. You are this magic that you are looking for in your life.
I didn't know it until many years later, but other family members have had experiences. So I went kind of all my life thinking that it was just a dream and no more. But then when I started to share it with people, they started sharing their experiences with me. So then I started to realize this has to be more than just a dream.
When I started researching, what wasn't resonating with me was this abduction, scary, torture. It didn't logically make sense to me. It was more of the message that the extraterrestrials were delivering to us that started resonating with me.
Why was I chosen? I made an agreement with these beings before I incarnated into this physical form. The purpose isn't realized until you get older. It will start to unfold.
What I'm talking about here is a series of choices. Early on, I was chosen perhaps at random to do something that cracked the cosmic egg. I went through a long experience of noticing this presence in my childhood, and I made another choice to engage with it. So I think it's a combination of probably chance, their interest in an individual, and choice.
I wondered all my life, even while I was lying. I meant, why me? I mean, I'm an average guy. I was an average kid. It bothered me. Was I being blamed for something or blessed? When I talked to Debs, I told her that I desperately wanted to find out these answers because the bottom line is that she promised me peace. And I really needed peace.
She shouldn't have been able to promise you that.
Answers that you came here for, and that you'll be able to put your life in a different context after today, in a more positive light. This process,
You can't promise that it would be in a positive light.
As an observer, and when you are able to see and perceive and experience from that place, it's a completely different story. This tone will activate your heart a little bit, and I think you'll feel good.
Oh, yeah. Take out your fucking healing bowl. That's gonna tell him why the aliens are abducting him. That's real. That's for sure.
So remember, you just breathing as you're
I'm
chanting the
so
mantra.
fucking
You
mad.
breathe at your own pace and chant at your own pace. There'll be a wave between us, all right? So we'll begin.
No. Play the whole half-hour bowl healing session that he paid $400 for. Play the whole thing. I want to watch the whole thing. What is quantum hypnosis? I don't know, it sounds like you took two words that sounded good and put them together.
You're not attached to the past. You're not making up the future. You're going into the unknown, and that's where all the magic happens, because that's where all potential exists. You have unlimited capability.
And don't ever let anyone say that hypnosis doesn't work. It does work in the hands of a real pro.
No, hypnosis works.
Get past
I've been arguing for hypnotic regression this entire stream.
the barrier of
I just don't think it needs to be
you can
quantum.
sometimes evoke memories that are buried. Memories are buried by trauma. How many people?
Again, another occasion where I think they've asked Whitley Strieber a question, and they're playing his response
well, I don't remember a thing.
Out of context.
But they do. Every instant of that experience is locked in there.
Quantum hypnosis is a therapeutic modality conceived and developed in the early 1980s by Debs Shakti, based on the quantum physics fundamental that everything is intimately connected, occurring simultaneously forever. An easier way to think of this is that popularized hypnosis allows one to access experiences that they personally have witnessed in the flesh, whereas quantum hypnosis allows one to access experiences anywhere, from any perspective in the universe.
People have experiences, but they're told lies about those experiences, so they don't talk about them. Debs has helped me a lot. She's helped me overcome some of my fears. She's helped me at least to get started on that right path of discovering myself.
You should have gotten your hypnotic regression done by David M. Jacobs. You'd still be living in fear, but at least you'd have the correct answers to your questions.
Finally, I can breathe a sigh of relief. I don't have that pressure built up inside of me anymore.
No matter
Well, that's
how
good.
often people
David M.
protest,
Jacobs would have you breathing 10 times harder.
Say, we'll see.
I realized, maybe that'll take me back to the fast dreams. You're viewing consciousness flashing before your eyes. You can't slow yourself down. And that silver cord could be connected to the silver cord that connects our souls to our bodies. And the message was...
First of all, that's not what it is. If you're going to get metaphysical, right, you got to do it right. The silver cord connects your astral body, mental body, and soul to physical body. You got to be more precise than that, ma'am.
I have to learn to trust that where I am right now...
I know more than you.
...is the perfect place for me to be. And as soon as I start to trust that, amazing doors will open.
Sigmund Freud coined the term screen memory.
Oh my God.
When he examined some of the most vivid visual memories deriving from childhood in his patients. He came to realize that these distorted recollections were constructs that the mind would create to insulate the person from some childhood psychological trauma. Ultraman was my screen memory that shielded me from something that my terrified 7-year-old mind just could not process. What happened to me as a boy was not only frightening, it was so unbelievable that I lied to myself about it for almost 45 years so I would not have to face the event, the sneering world, or my darkest fears, that it actually did happen.
Are you going to break through the screen memory? Can you bear it after all? Or are you going to decide instead, wait a minute, something was going on. What was it? I want to know. That's when you start to engage in contact.
When I started this hypnosis, I have to tell you, I was afraid. I was nervous about what I'd say. I was nervous about how it would be handled. I trusted Debs enough to go under.
Let the body just rest there. So be open and allow everything to flow. I wanted to be gentle with him because he was a person who had a lot of fear and was already very vulnerable. What I'd like for you to do now is to take yourself, if you like, to the place where you were that 7-year-old John. You're in the bathroom. You're standing in front of the sink. Can you go there now for me, please?
I can hear the water. I see the light underneath the door. I turn the water off. I don't want to go out yet.
Describe what happens as you go. The more he described, the deeper he went. And the deeper he went, the better he was able to journey.
I opened that door. I had seen Ultraman 1,000 times. I had seen him in my dreams. I knew for sure that that's what it was.
And there were times where it got very emotional. You're safe, John. It's okay. It's safe.
Somebody there?
Someone's there. Remember, objective observation, report to me. There's a man there.
Psychically healing my bank account.
He looks like an ant. And this dark, ant-like creature, he came at me. And I fought for my life.
Now see, ant-like is close enough to mantoid that I would believe it.
Antenna, like a normal ant, he has like antlers. And he has them on top of his head, and he has them out of the sides of his cheeks.
And it was fascinating, but it was so hard because he was absolutely uncomfortable. That must look really different from anything you've ever seen before.
He's trying to use those antlers on me.
How so?
He's pushing things out of his antlers, like energy or thoughts or something. He's trying to push me out, so I'll go. And I'm not going. Oh. No. I recognize him. And I thought, oh, I know what you're here for. You're going to take me. He doesn't care about me. He doesn't care.
He's not an empathic being like you are. He's different.
Not. He's not.
He was so brave.
Oh my god, guys. The ant alien is not an empath. Oh my god.
There was terrifying to him.
Oh, this has happened before. And now, I know that I have no choice. Everything came back to me. I remembered previous occasions when he had come for me, and I had fought him then.
Where does he want you to go, John?
I'm moving towards him, and I can feel the temperature change in the hallway. There was a flash, and then we were gone. It felt like heat that came up from the floor, and it just like kind of pushed me back like this.
He just tapped into different scenes of his experience, and it disturbed him greatly.
And the next thing I know, I'm in this cavern. And I knew I'd been here before.
Let's
I hear Adam
forward
doesn't
to
know how to
where you
spell.
Go, then. Go there now.
This place.
place is immense.
Huge.
It's huge. I mean, I could scream and it would echo.
You're in a huge place. Bring it into focus.
There's this big opening at the top.
Mm-hmm.
It looks natural. It looks like it's like a cave. There are like stalactites, things hanging down from the edges of that hole.
All right.
And there's a very bright light up there.
Oh.
And it's dark. It's very dark in here.
Safety and peace. What do you do here when you're here, John?
I don't know where they come from, but there are these screens, these big screens. And they show you stuff very fast. I tried to move, but they had some sort of hold on me when I would be...
Is this where they show you apocalyptic end of the world imagery? Because if so, that's a common occurrence among other abductee reports.
forced to see these three huge screens. So you see the pictures. They're the same picture that make up a big picture. And they move from my right to my left.
Are they speaking with you?
They don't talk. They use the picture in your head or something.
You couldn't have seen this on TV years ago. It only came out last year.
They're different, though. They're different than the ant guy. He's their bully. He doesn't care.
They're indifferent.
Don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care.
They just have a job to do. When you were telling me that story before, you said there were lots of lights, like a carousel or kaleidoscope. Is this what you were seeing? These fast-moving pictures making light?
It was like I was looking...
Oh,
out
similar,
of a
yeah,
train,
there's dozens of these.
moving very fast. But the message is in between the lines, is in between them. Is inside, is inside, is inside.
And when we got to where it felt like it couldn't get any more information, I asked permission to talk to his higher self, to that grand wisdom that is
Oh my god. It is intergalacticmatch.com.
so zoomed out from everything, it can see all of the experiences at once and bring it into kind of a more coherent explanation.
But it was almost like somebody was right behind me, and I could feel their presence. It was like a force, and my mouth opened up, and I didn't know what I was saying.
May I address your higher self right now? The one who knows everything? Yes? Thank you so much. And the voice that came out was a whole different John than I had ever seen before.
The boy is prepared. It must be strong. There is a plan. It will occur.
It will occur.
And he will be prepared.
And he is prepared.
It's just his same
And I said,
voice.
prepared for what? And they said, for what's to come next. The plan. And then suddenly, he just sat up, his eyes opened, and he had this laser beam eye contact with me. You're back.
Yeah.
He said, it's completed, and then started spewing forth all of this incredible wisdom.
That is why they can't take me anymore. It's because it's no longer necessary. The point was to get me strong enough. It's interesting because...
Hey, you
to me
fucking
now,
sluts, let's do body shots.
Oh my god, I can't tell you how clear that is to me.
I never
Pictures didn't
expected
matter,
those
the
words to
message
come
was
out of his
showing
mouth.
In the smaller fragments and the lines between, the message, the information was coming through.
He has a purpose. There is a plan. He needs to get to work.
There is a war for
I just hiccuped and burped. at the same time as I swallowed a chug of beer.
But
and it nearly tore me apart.
Service to others.
He described what it's all about.
Keep in mind, he just... Fuck. He just described the rule of one from the cosmic quantum intergalactic bullshit.
Kind of a preparation speech for what's to come.
Oh, fuck.
Not just for him, but for humanity.
I almost died right there.
No one will escape its touch. I know, and I know it's within my lifetime. This is what my purpose is.
Okay, so within your lifetime, so you've got like 20 years.
Everything clarified. And I experienced something very real. I was taken somewhere, and I found out that I had experienced it several times before.
The rule of one is like the good guys versus the bad guys thing.
It's going to affect every person on the planet. These encounters that I had as a child have been conditioning me. I knew that there was a conflict for the soul of man, that we are at a crossroads. And it would be so easy to destroy ourselves. It's going to be scary. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be all of these things. The message I got was, be ready. The world is asleep. Be ready.
Yeah, guys, this documentary on Tubi TV, this is your wake-up call. The rule of one is that all conscious beings are one entity. All consciousness flows from one source. And then you have the bad guys who are service to self.
Tonight, the highly anticipated report on unexplained aerial phenomena is here, but the answers are not.
144 separate sightings of UFOs by the U.S. military. The other 143 remain a complete and total mystery.
Over a dozen of those reports include observations of unusual movement patterns or flight, and they can't explain those.
So the most sophisticated military in the world has no idea what these things are or even how they move from place to place.
Yeah, ETs are coming here, or however they want to define it. The second question is going to be, how the hell did they get here?
We have, in the Pentagon, a whole lot more of those videos, and if you think the quality of the ones you've seen is good, you ain't seen anything yet.
It means that everything is actually
The
self-cessed,
military
yes.
has covered up UFO sightings is legend.
The government had an official policy where they
Technically, all sex is spiritually masturbation.
ridicule around this. This is
But
proven
woke.
through declassified documents.
The Air Force has been accused of hiding.
But the original meaning of woke.
These charges are absolutely untrue.
Since Roswell, their never-ending litany of weak excuses like weather balloons that move over 600 miles per hour, swamp gas that leaves circular burn marks and radioactivity on the ground, and
We love swamp
atmospheric
gas.
conversions that can invade fighter jets, have sated skeptics and frustrated genuine investigators for the better part of a century now. Even with the latest disclosures in the New York Times of sightings of the now famous Tic Tac, we find that that information has been hidden since 2004. The bottom line is, those guys don't want us to know what's going on, and they've done everything in their power to sidestep, obfuscate, and outright troll anybody that has come forward with the truth.
By doing things like making fake UFO alien abduction documentaries like this one that you're watching right now.
Newly released pile of records, like the page you see now. 4 words on the entire page were readable and not blacked out. And there are hundreds and hundreds of pages just like that.
Regular people, on the other hand, have, from the very beginning, matter-of-factly reported these occurrences, and in general, they were communicated by the media, by and large.
So you're just like me yesterday then.
The 40s.
When I had to cancel a hookup with an incredibly handsome super attractive man because I'd eaten too many jalapenos the previous day.
In response to the public's interest and concern, the House Minority Leader at the time, Gerald Ford, demanded a full-blown investigation by the House Armed Services Committee in 1966. And in 1969, the sitting governor of Georgia, Jimmy Carter, felt comfortable enough to file a UFO report. It all changed later that year in December. Armed with the dismissive Condon report and the inconclusive end to Project Blue Book, there was a sea change.
But Blue Book is now closed. But reports are still being made. So under whose command? And where are they being forwarded to?
The ones that were reported only showed up on the cover of tabloids or the punchlines of late-night hosts' conversations.
Did you know there are UFOs out here flying around unidentified?
This would be the place for them, Southern California.
People wanted to keep their jobs and their position in society without the uncomfortable snickers and jibes behind their backs about where their tinfoil hats were. Here's a question to those watching this film. If the establishment has spent all this money and effort to hide and discredit
He's Hispanic.
UFO
Maybe it would
sightings,
remind him of home.
which are pretty innocuous in themselves, to what ends would the powers that be go to hide something as mind-blowing as alien interaction with their citizens? The good news is that there are more people asking questions and demanding answers now about this subject than ever before.
From the believers who think the aliens are here to the hardcore skeptics who spend their whole time debunking that stuff, they think it's good that we're finally having this conversation.
They're saying we need to get on board on this. It's finally time to figure it out. That's a major shift in attitude.
There's a lot of pressure by the global public and the American public, for answers.
Let's take this subject out of the shadows and put it where it belongs, in the spotlight.
Well, at this point in John's progression through the work that we were doing, I realized that he was on a continual quest for understanding and meaning of the experiences that he had gone through and still undergoes. And I realized it was time that maybe he should meet someone who had similar experiences in his life and who had been documenting them, and more than anybody on the planet understands this in the same way. And that person is Whitley Strieber.
No, there's no way you introduced him to Whitley Strieber. Okay, whatever. Whatever, I don't care anymore.
Whitley has written more on this subject than anybody else, and he has a way of sharing first person his reactions, and also just being completely raw, truthful with the facts. He truly is the harbinger of this information to the world.
I've never thought of myself as being on a mission. I'm very interested in understanding the world around us, and I'm very interested in the welfare of mankind. And I think this is a great big universe, and I just sense that what's here is very unique and very beautiful and extraordinary. What is the destiny of the human soul? The visitors have taught me
what is the
living out
destiny
love,
of the human
compassion,
soul?
and humility are essential to building a strong soul.
You know, if I were to pay $90 right now, I could get caught up on all the Destiny DLC.
And my question is always, what does love really mean? Where is that feeling in myself, and how do I see it in others and in the world around me? Compassion.
Yes, it is gay
How
to
do I
receive
not
head
forget
from a
to
guy.
find it when someone makes me angry. humility. Without humility, we're not fully human. We have to be humble. But in the end, every single one of us is exactly the same.
I'm the
We are
expert.
all
Yes, I'm sure.
profoundly equal. My love of mankind
Okay.
and of this planet
Thanks,
is
Whitley.
my mission.
Super cool. Love that for you. Let's do... It's absolutely gay to give head. Let's do this one. Moon, Mars, and Antarctic anomalies. I love Antarctica stuff. Was this one of our 9 videos when I Clockwork Oranged myself? Cause it looks, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing it. I think we Clockwork Oranged me with this.
Secret
I want to say
alien or
yes.
Nazi UFO bases in Antarctica. It's an intriguing idea and popular with many ufologists. Now, whilst admitting that reality is often much stranger than fiction, which is this? Reality or fiction? As always, let's take a look at the evidence. The notion that Nazi Germany had a secret UFO base in Antarctica is one of the most famous ideas associated with the end of the Second World War. Specifically, that a number of secret factions of Nazis escaped and set up a secret underground base to aid in the development of their top-secret flying saucer program. Such stories have been circulating for decades, adding uniquely to popular theories about alien visitors that
Well, they used to be, Adam. YouTube conspiracy people used to be this dedicated, and then they all got fucking mass deleted off the platform. Mass deleted, shadow banned, channels deleted. Just, you know, that's what happens. It's hard out here being a conspiracy YouTuber.
Modern UFO lore. This idea has had renewed attention during the past few years, thanks to widespread attention given to a 2006 discovery by Ohio State University scientists who found a gravitational anomaly located below Wilkes Land, Antarctica. This has been interpreted by some as being the long sought-after secret Nazi UFO base. However, it has turned out to be simply an impact crater with a typical mass concentration at its center. It should be noted, firstly, that there is some legitimacy to the idea of a Nazi presence in Antarctica during the years leading up to World War II.
Because they colonized Antarctica.
Importance prompted an expedition by Germany between 1938 and 1939. This remains a significant contributing factor in the beliefs that the Nazis may have tried to establish a permanent stronghold at the South Pole. It is also well known that a variety of advanced aircraft had been designed by the Germans towards the end of the war, including suggestions that some of these resembled flying saucers. though in fairness, no verifiable reports have been found that would indicate the veracity of the claims about Nazi flying saucers. In large part, the crux of the entire Nazi UFO affair has long remained centered around a device known as Die Glocke, or the Bell. This was a conjectured Nazi weapons project.
It's interesting, I guess.
Anything from some kind of experimental anti-gravity device to a special anti-aircraft weapon. Unfortunately, there's a lack of good source material about Die Glocke that can help support the case that such a device ever existed.
That's because all of the scientists that worked on the Bell got taken into the United States via Project Paperclip, and then they never talked about it.
So what, apart from the expeditions carried out by Germany during the 1930s, might serve as the genesis of these legends about a Nazi UFO base in the southernmost polar regions? This notion actually has less to do with anything the Nazis did, and instead appears to stem from a series of seemingly cryptic comments made by Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd during an interview with International News Service correspondent Lee Van Atta. It's important to interject at this point that Byrd was a highly respected American adventurer and hero, known for his pragmatic and down-to-earth views and his proven extreme courage in the face of adversity. The interview, which took place on board the USS Mount Olympus in 1947, appeared in the Wednesday, March the 5th, 1947 edition of a Chilean newspaper, El Mercurio. Admiral Byrd declared that it was imperative for the United States to initiate immediate defense measures against hostile regions, potentially using Antarctica.
It's called Project Paperclip.
He further stated that he didn't want to frighten anyone unduly, but that it was a bitter reality that in the case
We weren't the only one either.
the United States,
the UK took some in, Russia took some. It was everybody.
As one can see, such wording easily lends itself to the idea of a connection between the Nazi UFO myth and something going on at the South Pole. What kind of perceived threat prompted Byrd to make such claims during the interview? Had some kind of danger actually existed in the southernmost extremities of Antarctica just after World War II?
Damn, I'm getting sleepy.
What was the nature of this threat? And could it have been associated with the technological carryovers from Nazi Germany, as some UFO researchers have already speculated over the years? Byrd had been tasked with leading the ill-fated Operation High Jump, which occurred between late 1946 and early 1947, and involved an extremely heavy military presence. Hence, some in UFO circles have gone so far as to suggest that Byrd's Operation High Jump represented a secret battle between US forces and a group of Antarctic residents with advanced Nazi UFO technologies.
I wouldn't say that it was a secret because, you know, he came out and said that we needed to be prepared for an enemy that can fly from pole to pole in under an hour, and also they took insanely heavy military losses, so it just, you know, doesn't seem that secret or unlikely to me.
After all, what else might have sent Byrd and his scores of ships and aircraft packing so quickly, terminated 6 months earlier than expected after embarking upon this extensive and extremely well-funded military expedition? The theory about Nazi UFOs would also seem to explain Byrd's cryptic warning. However, on the contrary, it seems that what Byrd was actually discussing was the threat of an enemy nation getting to Antarctica and establishing military bases there before America. In fact, although details about it remained undisclosed for many years, the establishment of strategic bases had been precisely what the American presence during Operation High Jump had aimed to do. And, as regards the brevity of the expedition, rather than bumping into secret Nazi bases and their armaments, Byrd and his company encountered a relentless and unconquerable enemy, Mother Nature. The brutal conditions during that winter had been...
I don't believe that,
in one
honestly.
instance, in January 1947, a sudden downwind managed to sweep a helicopter mid-takeoff directly into the ocean, leaving a narrow window of opportunity for the pilot to escape the icy waters and be rescued. There were plenty of other situations, however, where the servicemen involved weren't as lucky. Complications resulting from extreme weather conditions led to the loss of several lives during the short period that Operation High Jump was underway. Operation High Jump was terminated the following February, solely because of the worsening weather. Returning again to cryptic statements given to El Mercurio, there was no need for an enemy aircraft, standard or exotic, to be present at the time of Operation High Jump to validate Byrd's commentary. Because by the end of World War II...
They're arguing that all of the losses Operation High Jump took are just because of the weather.
Experimental jet engines were already in development, and within a few short years, planes that incorporated such technology would eventually revolutionize both military and commercial aircraft. Admiral Byrd would certainly have known about this, and spoke of the expectation that any military with a permanent presence in the South Pole might be able to use this strategic location to launch these aircraft that could reach any place on Earth within just a few short hours. No wonder he was concerned. There is another factor worthy of consideration here. Had Byrd's statements about lightning-fast flying objects been somewhat exaggerated too? Antarctic explorer Paul Sipple noted of the famous El Mercurio interview that the reporters aboard the USS Mount Olympus had somewhat overblown claims from Byrd's earlier expeditions in the region relating to the so-called Bunger's Oasis, a lake found to have uniquely warm temperatures, about 30 degrees centigrade or 90 degrees Fahrenheit, containing a variety of algae. Byrd later described the location as a land of blue and green lakes and brown hills in an otherwise limitless expanse of ice, and that his crew had seemed to have dropped out of the 20th century into an ancient landscape where land was just starting to emerge from one of the great ice ages. Byrd would later call the discovery by far the most important of the expedition so far as the public interest was concerned. No doubt this led to speculation. Paul Sipple went on to say, the 11 press representatives aboard the USS Mount Olympus had fired off dispatches to the outside world describing the oasis as a Shangri-La, implying that it was warmed by a mysterious source of heat that might be supporting vegetation. Byrd is claimed to have written in his so-called secret diary, beyond the mountain range is a valley with a small river. Something is definitely wrong and abnormal here. We should be over ice and snow. Our navigation instruments are still spinning. The gyroscope is oscillating back and forth. Byrd continues, saying that he can see animals in the valley, among them a living specimen.
That shouldn't happen. There has to be some sort of insane anomaly if you have a gyroscope that's not behaving properly. And if all the rest of your instruments on a plane aren't behaving properly, that tells me that something's up.
This no doubt helped fuel other claims associated with Byrd's expedition.
Like an entrance to the hollow inner Earth, perhaps.
Region at the South Pole, wherein a cavernous entry point into the Earth had led them to meet residents who existed below ground, the so-called hollow Earth dwellers, and took him to meet the Master, who said to Byrd, "We shall not long delay your mission, and you will be safely escorted back to the surface. But now, Admiral, I shall tell you why you have been summoned here. Our interest rightly begins just after your race exploded the first atomic bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. It was at that alarming time that we sent our flying machines, the Flugelrats, to your surface world to investigate. We have never interfered before in your race's wars and barbarity, but now we must, for you are tampering with a certain power that is not for mankind, namely that of atomic energy." A wonderful story, but unfortunately the secret diary has been definitively shown to be a fake. Taken into context, The embellishment of such
I don't
details
believe
by the
that.
press could easily have served as the root of claims about
I don't believe
not
any
only
definitive
prehistoric
debunkings,
races
thank you very
at the South
much.
Pole, but also the flying
Unless they align with
and
my
eventually
own
a
beliefs,
secret
in which
Nazi
case I
base.
totally believe them.
Again, it seems likely that Byrd had been making a general statement about the potential uses of enemy aircraft during the coming decades, in the sense that a hostile nation, should they ever establish a base at one of the poles, might use the area as a centralized point for launching attacks against the US mainland. Indeed, Byrd had previously suggested that the US might wish to establish such a base at the North Pole. Hence, it seems clear that he viewed the polar extremities as militaristically advantageous locations.
And you don't think the Germans would have viewed them the same way?
Of a new conflict seems to further indicate that his statements dealt not with any existing menace, but instead with the potential for a future threat by an enemy nation. With World War II still fresh in people's minds, many at the time shared concerns such as these. All speculation aside, what we are left with is very little ground for believing that Operation High Jump ended prematurely due to the presence of hidden subterranean races, attacks by woolly mammoths, or even Nazi flying saucers. Few would argue, however, that the various grains of truth pertaining to Byrd's historic operations have seeded themselves in the fertile grounds of myth and speculation, taking on a new and
I hate this
fascinating life
movie.
of their own throughout the past.
Even more than I hated the previous
One
one.
of the most significant researchers in this area is Micah Hanks, the author of Magic, Mysticism, and the Molecule. In his book, he presents his investigative analysis of ancient magical practices, mystical states, and out-of-body encounters through altered states of consciousness. Micah also explores stories of mythical animals and lands, and critically for our consideration of Operation High Jump, secret advanced technology. Micah is fascinated that there continues to be growing interest in Antarctica and the talk of secret meetings being held there by US presidents, astronauts, and scientists. One of the more recent discussions circulates around the discovery of an ancient civilization buried beneath the ice, a civilization that had a complex society. There have even been claims of frozen pyramids, photographs of which were published on the internet a few years ago. Dr. Mitch Darcy, a geologist at the German Research Center for Geosciences in Potsdam, said, "The pyramid-shaped structures are located in the Ellsworth Mountains, which is a range more than 400 kilometers long, so it's no surprise that there are rocky peaks cropping out above the ice. The peaks are clearly composed of rock, and it's just a coincidence that one particular peak has a pyramid-like shape. By definition, it is a nunatak, which is
No,
simply a
Antarctica
peak of rock
is not
sticking out above a
Atlantis.
glacier or ice sheet. This one has the shape of a pyramid, but it doesn't make it a human construction. Pyramid-shaped peaks are very common. The Matterhorn in the Alps and Mount Búlandstindrð in Iceland are notable examples. Though there are many hard facts here, they do not deter the hardline theorists. They continue to believe Antarctica is the home of a number of secret bases, when in reality, there's no advantage in having a secret base in Antarctica. Because if there were, the world's governments would already have had a very public fight over it, and there is no evidence of that at all. Seemingly, all the South Pole is rich in is natural diversity and scientific opportunities. And long may it stay that way.
Yeah? Oh, we're just going to Mars now. Cool. You're gonna debunk people looking at NASA pictures and seeing objects now? Because if you are, I'm just gonna call it, because I'm sleepy.
With an intriguing reddish hue, the celestial body has long been at the center of ancient myths, modern conspiracy theories, and wild scientific speculation about possible Martian civilizations.
It's hard to fathom the number of programs the CIA has or is currently funding and researching. The organization has become known to explore many things, ranging from the sinister to the strange. But often, it's the strange ones, notably those that become declassified, because the general populace simply find them too bizarre to be actually be
Some
true.
play.
When certain programs come to light, it always begs to ask that question: what else are they doing that they aren't telling us about? Declassified top-secret remote viewing CIA documents have revealed the discovery of an ancient civilization that was once inhabiting the Red Planet.
Prior to the invention of telescopes sufficient to observe the planet for what it was, Mars was associated with gods of various sorts and was an important element in many ancient pantheons. The name of Mars, of course, comes from the ancient Romans, who identified the planet, which they simply regarded as a bright star, with their god of war and agriculture. Likewise, the Greeks, who also called the planet Pyries, meaning fiery, associated Mars with their own god of war, Ares. In the Hindu tradition, the planet Mars was also linked to warfare, as it stood as a symbol for the war god Mangula, who was born from the sweat or blood of Shiva, and is sometimes called Lohit, meaning made of iron. The ancient Egyptians termed the planet Horus of the horizon or Horus the Red, equating it with one of their most significant deities. And in the East, ancient Chinese, Japanese, and Korean tradition dubbed the red planet Fire Star. In ancient Mesopotamia, and specifically the late Babylonian pantheon, Mars is the embodiment of Nergal, a god of war, but also one of plague, disease, and death, who would later go on to become the ruler of the underworld and bore other names including the Burner, or the Furious One, and the Raging King. Observations of the red planet became even more advanced over the ensuing centuries, and the fascination with Mars only increased as more accurate information came to light. Ptolemy.
I really love Richard Bradbury's really early concepts of what was on Mars, because he wrote sci-fi during the era when people thought there were canals on Mars. So he wrote like an entire lengthy lore for the Martians, and it's honestly some of the best sci-fi ever written. It's classic. If you have the ability to, just read Richard Bradbury's sci-fi.
Laid out a workable model of the planet's orbit in the 2nd century, and by the 17th, the work of Tycho Brahe and Johannes Kepler were able to reasonably approximate the distance between Earth and Mars, and Kepler later refined earlier estimations of the planet's orbit. Galileo Galilei was the first person to actually observe Mars through a telescope, and Dutch astronomer Christian Huygens is credited...
Honestly, I would much rather watch a video about Richard Bradbury than about this. Let's see if there is anything. Oh, I didn't know Ray Bradbury wrote for Fahrenheit 451. I was not aware of that. I was only aware of the Martian Chronicles stuff. Yep.
Hello?
Agla,
What did you say?
Avisigana Lagla.
I don't understand you.
There, that's better.
You do speak English.
I do now.
That must be the way I spoke to Sam.
Sam?
Oh, yeah, he's a friend. This is a wondrous moment.
Is it?
Yes. God, you're a ghost.
What? Gods, you're a ghost.
Me?
You?
No.
Where are you from?
Earth?
What's that?
It's a planet. Up there.
Planet of ghosts?
I'm not a ghost. I'm alive. You're the one who's dead. Your people were destroyed by a plague.
You must be mad. Don't you see this city?
I see the ruins of a city, dead over 1,000 years.
1,000 years? I live here.
Your city's dead.
It's alive. Can't you see the carnival lights, the boats, the women? Can't you see them?
No.
You don't see the city and the ocean beyond?
There hasn't been an ocean there for over 40 centuries.
This can mean only one thing. It has to do with time. You're a figment of the past.
You are from the past.
What year is it?
2007.
That means nothing to me. To me, it is the year 4462853, SEC. And you are long dead.
But I can feel my heartbeat. Feel? No. Never mind. I can feel my own flesh.
And so do I.
And I was hoping, finally...
Finally what?
That I could speak to a Martian. Ask him questions.
Oh, here I am. Speak to me. Ask. I'll tell you anything you want to know about my world.
Your world is dead.
It's your world that is dead.
Perhaps. Perhaps you're right.
How can you prove you're from the future? How do you know these ruins that you see were not the ruins of your own civilization 100 centuries from now? You cannot know.
You're
That's
right.
a good point.
I cannot.
What does it matter anyway? Of what importance is it who is past and who is future? What follows will follow, now or in 10,000 years. All that matters is, you see your world, and I see mine. Is that not enough? No matter what we each believe?
Of course.
You look despondent.
I guess I am.
Why?
Because I'd hoped.
For what?
For this meeting. Such a long time. To learn.
To learn?
Yes, about your people, your beliefs, the secret of your life on Mars.
On Tyr.
Tyr?
This is the planet Tyr.
Yes, Tyr.
Secret. There is no secret. Anyone with eyes can see the way to live.
How?
By watching life, observing nature and cooperating with it. Making common cause with the process of existence.
That's cute.
How?
By living life for itself, don't you see? Deriving pleasure from the gift of pure being.
The gift of pure being.
Life is its own answer. Accept it and enjoy it day by day. Live as well as possible. Expect no more. Destroy nothing. Humble nothing. Look for fault in nothing. Leave unsullied and untouched all that is beautiful. Hold that which lives in all reverence. For life is given by the sovereign of our universe. Given to be savored, to be luxuriated in, To be respected. But that's no secret. You're intelligent. You know as well as I what has to be done. Now I must go. My people are waiting for me.
I have people waiting too.
Good.
It's cute.
Perhaps we'll meet again. Some other night.
And I would like to see that carnival of yours.
And I would like to see the things you see. Good night, my friend.
Goodbye.
Parallel tennis court. We
can't get through. Like York and the others, he's our last chance.
Those are really bad. Those are really bad. Okay. I don't want to finish this. This is like a shitty debunking video. I don't want to finish it. I think I kind of want to call it here, honestly. I'm sleepy. Guys, I'm fucking sleepy. Oh my god, am I sleepy? Alright, I'm going to bed. Good night, everybody. I will see you all on Saturday for boys' night, not tomorrow. I've got a date, so...